The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to thank everyone for joining us for this Earn While You Learn presentation that will be hosted by Chad Husted on nutrition and productivity. We're going to go ahead and get started. Chad?
Okay, so yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm gonna go kind of fast because we don't have a lot of time, but I have a lot of things I want to cover. But before we get started, I want to give you a little context. I've been a healthy living advocate since about 2009, learning through trial and error and tons of research while training for triathlon and trying to figure out some bothersome digestive issues. I started writing and sharing about my personal healthy living journey around 2014 and have enjoyed coaching others to live their healthy best ever since. I'm passionate about helping people live their healthy best because I don't want anyone to live their golden years like my dad did. He suffered all through his 60s with debilitating heart and lung issues, in large part because of the choices he made about his health as a younger man. And so I'm convinced that no matter our age or our health now, making simple lifestyle changes today can make a big difference in how we enjoy the rest of our life. So that's why I do what I do and why I'm presenting today. But I get it. This is not really a thrilling topic to discuss, nutrition and productivity. But before you lean back in your chair and kind of tune me out until it's over so you can collect your wellness points, I just ask you to give me a chance to share an unconventional performance hack that can make you better at your job. And the truth is, implementing some simple tips I'm about to share can dramatically improve your health and your quality of work. And get this, without exercising or starving yourself. So I hope that sounds okay, and we'll dive right in. So first I want you to think about something with me for a minute. You have a job, you need the job, you show up every day for work and you give it your best effort, because if you don't, there's going to be trouble, right? So you won't let yourself fail at work because you need the job and others are counting on you. So your job requires focus, and you are focused at work. You do what needs to be done in your work, and you have proven that you're capable of doing so consistently over time, and you're good at it, right? So I wonder, what if you took half of that focus, consistency, and effort and applied it to other areas of your life? Would you be a better spouse or parent or a friend? What would your health look like with this kind of effort? So I talk to people all the time who are really good at their work, but their health is not so great. And they all tell me the same thing. They don't have time, or they're too tired, they say. Well, I say baloney. Listen, I know this is a little bit awkward for me to share, but I just want to appeal to you to take care of your health as if it were part of your job. Because if your health fails, you can't really work. If you're stiff and exhausted or frequently ill, you really can't even take care of your loved ones as you would hope. So in other words, to be your best at the roles that are most important to you, you need to optimize your health. But I get it. I know what you're thinking. Hey, I'm just a desk jockey. My health really doesn't matter that much because I just need my brain. So where's the donuts? But I'm begging you here to just take your health seriously. You've only got one chance to make an impact on this world and leave a lasting and positive legacy for future generations. I don't want you to be held back from being your best because you're choosing to be lazy with your health. You're better than that. I know you are. You can do hard things because you prove it every day in your day job. So I'm asking you to treat your health like it's your job. And that's kind of your tough love to get us started today. There's a lot of rewards and benefits to healthy living. If you put in some effort, you can be your best at life and your job and experience some of the benefits like boosting in your confidence, improving your mood. Healthy living can reduce your stress and improve your memory and strengthen your immune system. You can sleep better, you'll have more energy and mental clarity, all kinds of great benefits. So that's my appeal to you. So now that you're all fired up about the importance of taking care of your health, let's get pretty specific here and talk about nutrition. Who can relate to this guy? I already see somebody there in the back looking like this guy already. Have you ever felt like this? Fatigue, irritable, maybe even a little stressed out. Maybe you're just kind of half asleep. I'm telling you that these are all symptoms that are consequences of a poor diet. Everybody's heard you are what you eat. And the idea, of course, is that everything you eat affects the way your body functions and performs. And when you eat healthy, your body processes nutrients and maximizes them for optimal energy and performance. So I want you to think of it like this. Your mind is a muscle, and it's like the professional athlete in the business world. And so in that sense, we're all pros. And like all pros, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to recover, and we need to be fueled properly. And so when you're tempted to neglect your nutrition, I want you to think about these following ways that you could be impacting your personal productivity and performance. Here's a short list I want to go through with you here as quick as I can. The first one is that your productivity takes a hit. The science tells us that a typical high carbohydrate breakfast of cereal, toast, muffins, and juice can impact your brain function, but not, like your mood or your comprehension, but not really in a healthy way. And the reason is that high carb foods release their glucose or their blood sugar really fast, and it leads to a burst of energy followed by a slump. Conversely, high fat meals like your cheeseburgers and so you can't perform your best when your body and your brain is starving for nutrients. And so that's why you feel an energy crash or a grogginess, which impacts your productivity. Another thing that happens is that we lose some self-control. And so the idea here is that you don't want to make big life decisions or work decisions when you're hungry. Everybody knows the term hangry, right? When you get hungry, you kind of get irritable and angry even. We can start making bad choices when that happens in our work. And so our body converts all of our food to glucose, which is a sugar that runs through our blood, and that provides the energy that our brain needs to stay alert. And so consuming foods with a high glycemic index value cause blood sugar levels to spike, and then the spike sends your energy through the roof for a short time, and then you crash and burn like our airplane picture here. So what happens is you've lost your energy, but then you also get hungry again really quickly. And so this vicious cycle is how we get fat, because we're eating the wrong foods for quote unquote energy, only to crash and burn, and then we get hungry quickly, and then we just repeat it all over again. So when we're running low on glucose, we have a tough time staying focused, our attention drifts, and it's why it's hard to concentrate on an empty stomach. So when you're hungry, I'll throw a little more science at you here. Your stomach releases a hormone called ghrelin, and research finds that this hormone impacts your impulsivity and your decision-making capabilities. So that means that when you're hungry, you're more likely to rush a decision, snap at a customer or a coworker, or respond irrationally to a situation because you're at your lowest point in energy and self-control. So then when you're trying to decide what to eat, all you can think is, give me some food now. And so French fries and candy bars get a lot more appetizing when your mind is drained like that. So we lose self-control, our productivity takes a hit, and we get exhausted. This is because the dietary patterns and food choices can influence our nighttime sleep and recovery. So to all you caffeine junkies out there, I say that you should resist the urge to consume the late afternoon cup of coffee or soda, because that caffeine will last well into the evening and it could put a damper on your sleep quality. Further, if you have too much caffeine, you can get jittery or have a different kind of anxiety, and that can also be distracting. And so, of course, if you lose too much sleep because you've been impacted by caffeine, you're never going to be able to make that mental fatigue up with caffeine. Eventually, you're just going to lose productivity big time. So caffeine can also cause a dependency, which we all know about. You get the headaches and everything else when you don't have caffeine. So that all sounds really awful about caffeine, but I'm not really saying that caffeine or coffee is evil. I'm just saying that we need to be mindful about how we consume it. Also related to this exhaustion topic, some of us are customarily eating a big meal before we go to bed, and that also can hamper our sleep cycle because our body thinks we're trying to fuel up for activity instead of winding down to rest. And so a suggestion would be to try to target 3 hours between your last meal and bedtime to help curb your exhaustion and get better quality sleep. All right, the next one, I want to talk some more about blood sugar. And we need to know that pretty much everything that we eat will raise your blood sugar in some way. And so if your blood sugar gets too low, you'll need to eat something if you want to perform your best. But not all foods raise your blood sugar in the same way or in the same amount. And so maybe you've heard of the glycemic index, but foods like candy bars and other processed or refined foods, or like white rice and things like that, will cause your blood sugar to spike and then crash again shortly after. We've talked about this a couple times already. However, lower glycemic index foods like oatmeal or fruits and vegetables, they provide more of a steady release over the course of time. So we obviously want to target those kind of foods because then we can avoid this spike and crash that can impact our performance at work. You can find these glycemic index charts online. I've got one on my website as well. So you can check those out for a list of foods that are lower on the glycemic index. But generally speaking, the more processed the food is, the higher the GI value is, and the less beneficial it is for your body. One other thing about this is I want to be clear that carbs are not the enemy, as some of the fad diets claim. Our body needs carbs. Carbs are what turns to sugar, which makes for our body to function. That's the energy that we need. So it's the quality of the carbs that counts. And the glycemic index is one way to measure the quality of carbs, and another way is to simply check the ingredients. So if obviously eating real food in its most natural form is best, and so you want to look for foods with fewer ingredients. When I'm talking about the nutrition label, I'm talking about the ingredients list, because the fewer ingredients usually means it has been less processed and therefore less stripped of its nutritional value. I hope that makes sense. All right, so that was kind of all the bad news. But now let's talk about what you really came here for, and that's how do I optimize my performance with food? But first, let me say that we should never assume that better information will motivate us to change. For example, most of us are well aware that scarfing down a processed mixture of chicken bones and leftover carcasses is not a good life decision. But that doesn't make chicken nuggets any less delicious, am I right? So awareness is helpful, but as kind of a first step, what we really need is an action plan that makes healthy eating easier, along with a mindset shift regarding the way we think about food. But before we get into kind of the mental side of healthy eating, I want to talk to you about some strategies here. The first one, of course, is breakfast. You need to be having breakfast. Running out the door with a cup of coffee is really just not enough. It should be a substantial meal. You want to get proteins and complex carbs together, like eggs and whole wheat toast or oatmeal with fruit and nuts. You really need breakfast to start your day, so don't skip that. Some ideas here, just thinking about the major food groups. You want to do some kind of fresh or frozen produce, and even some real fruit or vegetable juices or smoothies are fine, but you want to make sure that the label says 100% juice. In terms of your whole grains, again, you want to do 100% whole grain as a first ingredient. Eggs, peanut butter, lean meats, and nuts and seeds are good proteins to try for breakfast. And of course, your yogurt, cottage cheese, skim milk, those type of things for your dairy. You know, just again, minimally processed whole foods are what you want to target for any meal really, but for breakfast obviously as well. Next, I want to talk about planning, because the more you plan up front, the less you have to fuss over what you're going to eat as the week rolls on. I do meal prep on Sunday. It takes me about an hour or so, but it gives me the food that I'm going to eat for lunch all week. So I'll bake some chicken breast, cut up some sweet potato and bake it. I make spinach egg cups in a muffin tin. I've got melon or pineapple cut up. I've got lots of bananas and apples, baby carrots, whole wheat bread, raw nuts, all that kind of stuff that's easy to stock and prepare and refrigerate in little Tupperwares or whatever so that I can have it for lunch. Hard-boiled eggs are great for on the go. You know, eggs have a funny reputation, but they really are a healthy option. So don't be afraid to eat eggs. They have good protein in them for a slow release source of energy. Bananas are awesome for a mid-morning or late afternoon snack if you're not putting it in your breakfast. So anytime that you can have easy to grab foods on hand, you're far better equipped to make healthy choices through your workday. And so that's kind of the gist here. I want you to think about planning ahead and bringing as much of what you're going to eat during the day with you. Sandwiches are great, salads are great. You can keep your dressing separate from your leafy greens so that it doesn't get all wimpy on you sitting in the fridge. I talked about the containers for your chopped veggies. You can bring almonds, granola bars, and raw fruits for your snacks. These are all very simple things and inexpensive things that you can bring with you to work. Packing your lunch not only ensures that you have the type of foods that you need that are going to serve your body well, but it helps you to avoid the temptation of skipping meals or hitting the vending machine or joining coworkers for unhealthy fast food. And believe it or not, it even pays to plan ahead. I found that nearly a week's worth of packed lunches costs about the same as one lunch out. So I feel like I'm saving a lot of money that way too. I find that the best way to avoid junk food is just to not buy it. Don't bring it into your house. If it were up to me, I'd have cookies at home all the time and I'd go through a bag a week, no problem. But I just don't buy it, so then I'm not tempted to eat it. So when you're planning your instead of skipping meals, again, this is a little bit counterintuitive, but I think we should all eat like hobbits. You know, they've got breakfast and then second breakfast, 11Zs, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, and supper. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit of overkill, but the point is that you don't want to save up for lunch and stuff your face. It's better to graze steadily throughout the day and keep your blood sugar levels even, choosing healthy options. And so your energy stays up and you're not feeling hungry and you're eating good things, and then everybody wins. Do not skip meals. It's really not worth thinking, well, I've got to get more work done, I'm just going to skip lunch today. Your body will revolt against you. You'll run out of gas in the middle of the afternoon and your performance and production will skid because your body's starving for nutrients. So you got to keep your machine filled up. Also, skipping meals doesn't really help you lose weight, by the way. So those of you out there starving yourselves on a diet, you might get some short-term result, but your body's just going to adjust and you'll have a lowered metabolism and you'll store fat and you'll have a hard time meeting your goals by skipping meals. The truth is that when you feed yourself the right food on a regular schedule, not only will you feel full all the time and not starving to death, but you can actually still lose weight by eating more food. And I'm living proof of that. I've done it for a while now. I eat a lot more than I used to, and I'm not hungry, and my weight is maintained and I feel great. All right, last one for this slide is about caffeine again. And really, I just want to say, be careful about having caffeine later in the day. You don't want to interrupt your sleep. Tea is a good alternative to coffee for caffeine in the morning or mid-morning. And I just want you also to keep in mind that please avoid caffeinated sodas and the so-called energy drinks. Read the labels on those things. It's a chemical cocktail that really isn't doing your body any good. So try to get away from those as soon as possible. All right, some of you have heard me talk about drinking more water already. But just to reiterate some of my personal observations here, I think we can all stand to improve our health by simply drinking more water. The first is that as soon as you wake up, you should drink some water. I start my day with at least 20 ounces to relieve dehydration from sleeping. It kind of revs up my digestive system before I eat breakfast. It helps me to feel more full before I eat, and it helps me to wake up, honestly. Drinking more water is really one of the best bang for your buck healthy eating tips I can offer you. The next one is try to think about drinking some water before you eat every meal because it will help you to feel more full. Simple as that. Bring your water bottle with you wherever you go. Have it at your desk or at your workplace if that's feasible, and sip from it often. You want to try to target about half of your body weight in ounces of water every day. And so for me, that's nearly a gallon of water, which sounds ridiculous when you look at how much water a gallon is. But when you break it up through the day, it's really very manageable. And again, it contributes to so many benefits you can see on the screen, hopefully, but just tons of great benefits to drinking more water. So I encourage you to do that. All right, this one's a little bit different, but when you're drinking water, I think a helpful tip here is to be aware of your urine color. Yeah, that's right. To check the color of your urine in the bathroom. Light yellow or clear is good. That means you're well hydrated. Darker yellow means that you need to drink some more water. But if you're taking certain medications or vitamins, it could discolor your urine for a while, so don't freak out about that. I just want you to be kind of mindful. This is an easy way to check, oh boy, am I on pace or do I need to drink some more? This is a simple indicator for you. We've talked about being hangry previously, or if you have a headache sometimes, it could be from dehydration. So this is your body's way of saying that you're dehydrated if you have a headache. So take a big drink of water and wait 10 minutes. A lot of times that'll make your headache go away. All right, and lastly here for water is that we just need water. So don't be deceived that soda or sports drinks, coffee, juice, milk, any of that other stuff is not water. And your body needs water. So most of these other drinks have all kinds of chemical ingredients and artificial colors and flavors and such that really aren't good for you. You just need to have water. Everybody still with me over there? No falling asleep in the back. We're almost done.
I have a question, Chad. So
Sure.
I have heard that if you're eating fresh, raw vegetables and fruits, that you are also getting water from that.
That is very true.
What are your thoughts?
But that is very true. And in fact, some fruits and vegetables are mostly water, right? But again, that's not a substitute for drinking water. I would not count that. I mean, how would you measure it anyway?
Okay.
So the target for half of your body weight in ounces, I think we can say takes into account the fact that you're also eating fruits and vegetables. So, and also if you're exercising, you're probably going to require more water than that, but this is just kind of a baseline to target. But you're absolutely right. There's definitely water in raw fruits and vegetables, but I don't know that we can count that towards our water intake, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. It does make sense.
All right, so let's talk about some snacks. I don't know about you, but I snack often during the day. You want to target a mix of carbs and protein. Your brain kind of functions off of the sugar from the carbs, so you want to target your whole grains, fruits and vegetables, and even milk or yogurt has quality carbs in it. And the protein, of course, is the kind of the slow release energy that you sustain for a longer time, so that's important too. So you want to have, nuts and seeds or some meats even, or eggs can make for good snacks. I'll give you a couple of examples. almost every day around 3 o'clock, I will cut up an apple and put some peanut butter on it. So here I'm getting the protein from the peanut butter and the carbs from the apple. It's a nice mix. It's very easy to make. It travels well. I can pack it in my lunch if I'm on the road. It's very healthy and it works. I mean, it provides kind of the energy boost I need to help get me through the rest of the afternoon. All right, eggs. I'm kind of a fan of eggs if you haven't noticed. I have eggs probably every day. So you can hard boil eggs or make egg cups and bring them with you and stick them in the fridge. That's an easy thing. Fresh fruit is awesome, of course. Next, trail mix. All right, so trail mix here, I mean, just get a little Tupperware and do nuts and seeds and dried fruit like raisins or dried cranberries or things like that, and mix it up. There are some pre-packaged trail mixes that are okay, but again, you've got to read the ingredients list. Some of them really just have a lot of added sugar, or there's a bunch of funny name chemicals in there, and so you just want to try to avoid that. I prefer to mix my own. All right, how about a yogurt bar? You could use your trail mix and stick it into some yogurt, and that makes a pretty yummy snack. And I know some people are fans of yogurt, some aren't, and there's a million different kinds. I just would tell you that yogurt can be tricky, and a lot of your flavored yogurts are full of added sugar. So again, you want to look for the ingredients list and make sure you watch that closely. All right, another favorite snack of mine is.
I have a question, Chad. A question
Yes.
came in that is, what do you think healthy protein options are out there for vegetarians?
That's where I would go to your nuts and seeds, and even some of your vegetables. I mean, if you're a vegetarian, you know what your protein sources are already, but you know, spinach has some protein in it. There's other vegetables that do too. But I think a lot of really easy things would come from nuts. So if you're a fan of almonds or walnuts or peanuts or sunflower seeds and that kind of thing, those are good sources and easy to carry. Does that help? All right.
Sorry, another question about spirulina.
Yeah. I don't know much about that.
Okay.
Is that something like something you're taking as a pill or mixing in a juice?
No, it's something in the seed. It's like a
She said it's something like a seed with green leaves.
Yeah.
I guess we can research that and get back to you and see if we have any information on that.
Yeah. Is that something you're interested in or something you're already doing and you're wondering what its value is?
I've heard that it has a lot of protein for like vegetarian alternatives.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so again, real cheese is healthy. I hope I haven't blown your minds, but the trouble is that a lot of the cheese that we eat is not actually real cheese, like your Kraft singles or your Velveeta. Those things are horrible. But if you get real cheese, you can eat it in moderation, and it provides actually a nice, healthy fat or protein source. So don't be afraid to have some whole wheat crackers with some cheese. That's a nice mix of carbs and protein for your energy in a snack. I like Triscuits for whole wheat crackers. You got to be careful again about crackers. You just read the label, but Triscuits have 3 ingredients. It's whole wheat, oil, and salt. All right, I know some of you, excuse me, are fans of smoothies, and you can put all kinds of stuff in smoothies, and I'm a fan of that too, especially if you're putting real food into the mix, you know, frozen berries or spinach and peanut butter or almond butter, things like that. I do want to say though about protein powders that they are not all created equal. In fact, again, reading ingredient labels is really important. Some of these protein powders have an ingredient list that's a mile long and it reads like an alien language. Just don't do that, please. We don't know what that stuff is. My philosophy on it is that if you don't know what the ingredient is, then you probably shouldn't put it in your body. Further, if you can't buy it on the shelf at the store on its own, it's probably not a great ingredient. There's obviously some exceptions to that, but kind of as a rule of thumb, you want to look for things that you can pronounce and recognize to be in your ingredient list for whatever it is. So for protein powders, you know, there's a few that are very high quality and excellent choices, but just be careful about that. All right, so home stretch. The science, the facts, the food lists, this is all really good, but they don't really help us to change our behavior, and that's part of the challenge of eating better, is that it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, it's a behavior, and we aren't going to change by just getting a bunch of facts. So I would be remiss in cutting our program after giving you all the ideas of what to eat, because you're just not going to do it until you change the way that you think about food and your relationship to it. There's no escaping that you behave according to what you believe. And so the first thing that you need to do is think about what you believe. And so after everything you've heard me say today, do you believe that food can impact your performance? Or do you believe that you can kick bad habits and replace them with healthy ones? The answer, of course, is yes. Yes, absolutely you can. And so I want to offer you a little mental floss here to help you conquer your mind. The first is that you need to determine what is your driving force. And this is your personal compelling reason why you want to eat healthy or break a bad habit or start a healthy habit, change some kind of behavior. This is really important because if you don't have this firmly ingrained in your mind, you will quit when the change gets hard, and it surely will. This lack of a driving force is a main reason the New Year's resolutions fail, or the midsummer resolutions, or whatever it is that you're excited about in the moment. I'm going to do this. If you don't have this compelling reason why or a driving force, you'll likely fail without it. So think about that for a while. Sit quietly by yourself and keep asking yourself why until you get to the real reason you want to make a change in healthy eating or whatever it is. All right, next is baby steps. I love What About Bob, the movie, and Bob Wiley and his Dr. Marvin telling him to take baby steps. That's excellent advice because we cannot fix everything all at once. We got to take baby steps, which is really just setting small, reasonable goals. And once you knock out one of those small, reasonable goals, then you move on to the next one, and then move on to the next one from there. So maybe for nutrition, start with drinking more water. Make that your first step. When you get that one licked, then maybe move on to, replacing soda and getting that out of your diet. And then maybe after that, now you're drinking more water, you've cut out soda. Now maybe add some more movement to your day. One baby step at a time. That's what it's going to take, and it's going to take a while. You're just going to have to be consistent at it over time. All right, if you don't get anything else out of what I'm saying today, these next couple are what I hope you will remember. And this first one is replace instead of cut, because one of the problems I have with the diets that are popular today is that they're always cutting something out. They're telling you what you can't do or can't have. And we don't like being told what we can't have, especially when it comes to food. So dieters eventually cave in for the thing that they can't have, and then they get depressed about failing, and then they quit. So what I want you to do is think about replacing instead of cutting. So for example, drink water instead of soda, or eat whole wheat bread instead of white bread, or choose an apple instead of a candy bar. This is the kind of, it's a mental exercise to change the response you have to the natural trigger that launches your bad eating habit. So what I mean is, let me give you an example. Let's say it's 3 o'clock and you're dragging, or maybe you just finished a stressful conference call. Speaking from personal experience, these are triggers that might normally make you reach for a sugary snack or a soda as a pick-me-up or a stress reliever. But now you recognize the trigger, what's happening, and instead you go for the apple, or you get up and walk around, or have a drink of water or something else. That's what I'm talking about. Replace instead of cut. All right, one of the hardest mindset shifts to make about food is this. Food is meant to be fuel. You are a highly complex machine that requires the right fuel to perform optimally. So when you feed your body what it needs, it will do amazing things. Conversely, when you eat junk food, your body responds poorly, like we discussed at the start. Unfortunately, we like to use food as our friend, the one who comforts us when we're stressed or bored or tired, or the one we celebrate with. The problem is that in these instances, food is a lousy friend. When we go to food for comfort or to relieve stress or even to celebrate, we often will choose poorly, we'll consume mass quantities, and then we're left with regret, maybe some digestive issues, and tighter pants. So I'm all about enjoying food, but I've learned that changing my mind about food has been a game changer for my health. So the benefits of eating healthy far outweigh the consequences. For example, I've not had soda for over 20 years, and that's because I realize that my body just doesn't respond to it very well. So when I cut it out and I feel better, I just don't even miss it. And that's the same with fast food. I realized that eating fast food messed up my guts and made me feel bad every time. And so I just quit eating it. And I'm just, we can always do better than traditional fast food. So I just encourage you to rethink about food and recognize that it's meant to be our fuel. We can enjoy it for sure, but it's meant to be our fuel. All right, this last one's really hard. Nobody likes accountability. It's got a negative connotation, but I'm telling you that if you regard it in a positive way and recognize that accountability is meant to help you and not to punish or condemn, it can go a long way to help you stick with your goals. A lack of accountability is another main reason why our resolutions fail. The truth is that we're far more likely to stick with our goals and healthy habits when we share them with others. So you need to tell other people your plan, what you're trying to do, and ask them to hold you to it. Or better yet, get others to join you in your healthy pursuit. I recommend that you post your plans and your goals along with your driving force everywhere, so it's always in front of you. A key statement I like to remember is that accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. And that is so true. So find a partner, find a group, find somebody to be accountable with, go on the journey together, be on the I'm giving up soda group, and hold each other to it. If you need some help, by the way, I almost always have a small group of people in a virtual or online accountability group because we know that we're better together. And so if that sounds interesting to you, you can connect with me separately and we can talk about how to get you involved in that. But it has proven to be pretty successful for a lot of people to stick with their goals. So there you go. That's the plan. Now that you believe that food impacts your health, but also your work, surely you're inspired to take some action, right? I've given you this 5-step plan to follow to kind of conquer your mind about food. And I've given you a bunch of ideas for what you should be eating. And so that's it. What other questions do you have?
Can you repeat accountability again, please?
Sure. So accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. Accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. Okay. The point is that we're better together, and you need to get somebody involved in your plan or have them join you, and you're far more likely to stick with your goals.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chad.
All right, so
I have
if there's no other questions, okay, go ahead.
I actually have a question. I've heard that whole milk is more easily processed by our bodies. Is there a benefit to drinking whole milk versus skim milk?
Fair question. I think, I don't know. I mean, everybody digests a little bit different, I would say. So I'm always afraid of overgeneralizing such things. Surely whole milk can be just as good. I personally don't care for it, but I would not hesitate to suggest that as part of a healthy snack or a meal.
And I have another question. Is there such a thing as drinking too much water?
Yes, there is, but it's really hard to do. You can look online about the guy that died because he drank like 5 gallons of water in one day to win a contest. Nobody's going to do that. So it's really, really hard to drink too much water.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? This was a great presentation. If anyone wants to connect with Chad, you all know that Chad is one of our own. So reach out to him by sending him an email. And Chad, I'll let you finish.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know how easy this is for you all to read, but I've cited some resources that I used to research the presentation. The first one, of course, is my own website, teamquadzilla.com, and that's where I share all kinds of healthy living content. So if that interests you at all, I welcome you to check that out. I talk about breaking bad habits, healthy eating, fitness tips. I got exercise programs in there that some of the guys are doing now, actually. There's recipes in there too, and all kinds of stuff. So check that out. 9010 Nutrition is my favorite healthy eating site. There's hundreds and hundreds of great recipes in there, and their philosophy is like mine, where you don't need to count calories or fuss over the details. If you eat real food, you can reach your goals. So let's not diet. Let's just eat real food in a healthy way, and you'll get great results. So that's it. Like Livia says, you know where to find me if you have some questions. I love talking to people about this kind of stuff, and I'm happy to help.
Will we be able to get a copy of this presentation, Chad, for those that would like it?
Yes, I can. I'll figure out with you how to do that and make it shareable. Okay, great. Well, thank you all for attending. We really appreciated that you attended this presentation, and it had a lot of great information. Thank you, Chad. Hopefully we'll have another presentation with Chad is later this year. Thanks, everyone. Sounds great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.